Global Technology Systems GTS employee Richard Le Roux has mentioned high-profile politicians who he says benefited from what was known as special projects at Bosasa. ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe, former SAA Chair Dudu Myeni and Environmental Affairs Minister Nomvula Mokonyane allegedly had their homes renovated under the stewardship of Bosasa.
Those included security upgrades and general maintenance. Richard Le Roux says he was threatened several times on the phone by Bosasa CEO Gavin Watson. He would tell him to comply with instructions as his family will be under risk if he refused to cooperate. Richard Le Roux says at some stage he saw footage of former President Jacob Zuma, former SAA Chair Dudu Myeni and Police Minister Bekicele as they had visited the Bosasa office park. He told the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture that he was instructed to delete this footage. He went on to say he was also instructed by Gavin Watson, Bosasa CEO, to go and fix Environmental Affairs Minister's house, Nomvula Mokonyane, in Rudaport. Also, the Commission has learnt that 3 properties belonging to the ANC National Chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, were also upgraded. 1 in Boksburg and 2 in Elliot and Gala in the Eastern Cape.
For more on the state capture inquiry, we're across to our senior political reporter Mzwandile Mbeje in Parktown. Very good afternoon to you, Mzwandile. Lots of allegations and revelations coming out of the state capture inquiry today.
Well, very good afternoon to you, Nzinga, and the viewers. Well, we've been sitting here really listening to Richard Le Roux, who used to work for Sondolo IT, which is now GTS, a subsidiary of Bosasa, but he still works there now. So Nzinga, this was someone really who was responsible for installing the cameras, installing the electric fences, and of course making sure that the security system at Bosasa was in order. So basically what he's been saying today, he's been telling us the names of high-profile individuals that he had to carry out this work. I mean, you've mentioned the names of people like Gwede Mantashe, the current chairperson of the ANC, the Minister of Environmental Affairs, the MP, Mr. Vincent Smith, and the Deputy Minister, Thabang Makwetla, Richard Mti. So those were some really of the high-profile names that have been mentioned, who Mr. Richard Le Roux basically says he was responsible for installing all these security arrangements at their homes. And not only that, but he also would continue to carry out maintenance. But what is interesting here, Nzinga, is that he says when they had to do that kind of a job, which was called special project, they did not need any branding whatsoever. And whoever asked them who they were, so they did not need to mention that they were from Bosasa. So that's why one instance in Richards Bay, when he was busy fixing Dudu Myeni's property, so when the investigators, the investigators who were investigating about the break-in asked so where he was from, so he insisted really that he was from the independent contractors. So that is basically what has transpired here. He's concluded his evidence, and then he basically is saying he was just following all the instructions, and everything they were doing in Nzinga, they were paying it with cash.
Mzwandile, we saw last year the ANC attending the state capture inquiry, listening in and saying they welcomed it and wanted to see what would happen. Did we see them there today, and were we able to get any reaction with regards to that explosive testimony or evidence that was heard today?
Well, Nzinga, as you're speaking to me now, I just looked at this side. When we began this morning at 10 o'clock, remember at 11:15 we normally have a tea break. So we had Zizi Kodwa, who is the acting national spokesperson. But when we returned from the tea break, so I think he had left. So obviously, I don't know whether he has other arrangements. So this is someone who's been attending these events here, or at these hearings. So as a result, if there are things that we really need to check with him, so we'll be able to ask him questions. But when we finished now, so he was nowhere to be seen, and then we hope perhaps he was going to come back so that we can put some of these questions, because they speak directly to the members, not only only the members, but the very senior members of the ANC, including a member of the top 6.
And what do we expect for the rest of the day and going forward from the state capture inquiry?
Nzinga, remember, these people who are on the stand now are some of those who were the whistleblowers. We've seen Mr. Van Donner, we've seen Mr. Foster, and now it was Mr. Le Roux. Mr. Le Roux has just concluded his evidence. We understand that after lunch, Mr. Dion Van Donner is also going to take the stand. And then he's part of those people who really were whistleblowers. And then we expect him as well to shed more light into what was happening at Bosasa during his time.
Mzwandile Mbeje, SABC senior political reporter, giving us an update on that state capture inquiry. Thanks for your time.